My distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Tom Mars. Uh, uh, you know, in the legal profession, sports profession, whatever the profession is, uh, terms are often kicked around. One I like to use to describe our next speaker is the word impact player. Impact player can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, but I think as you'll see, Tom Mars is an impact player, not only just the legal profession, but he makes a difference along with his colleagues at Wal-Mart. Now, we don't need to say too much more about Wal-Mart to this throng. Wal-Mart is the world's largest publicly traded corporation, over $370 billion a year in revenue, over 1,400,000 employees in the United States alone, and is the world's largest private employer. But Walmart's impact on all of us goes even beyond just how large it is. It impacts our commerce and our industry and society through all the vendors and all the suppliers, as well as the customers that it serves. So it impacts us in so many ways that it's hard to even comprehend. But beyond that, Tom, who is the Chief Legal Officer, General Counsel of Wal-Mart, and therefore the man sitting in the hot seat to have to preside over the operations of this institution, unique institution, has had an impact on the legal profession that is really not that well known and one that deserves attention and recognition. I called him an impact player for a reason, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, very briefly about that impact. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Tom himself. He is a graduate of the University of Arkansas Law School, where he graduated #1 in his class and was editor-in-chief of the Law Review. That you can get from the bio. What you don't get from the bio is that his route, as with many people in this room, took a number of twists and turns before he ended up sitting here at the front table here with some of us. He originally started out as someone who wanted to become a law enforcement person, an FBI agent, and being told that the best route to become an FBI agent was to go to law school, he did just that. He attended the University of Arkansas Law School, and through some quirks of fate and what have you, didn't have such a huge interest in the law, but somehow managed to be first in his class at Arkansas, and through other divine interventions, one day while he was clerking for a 10th Circuit judge, received a phone call from a lawyer in Little Rock named Hillary. And his path then took this direction from the FBI towards this direction, towards the practice of law. And the rest, as you say, might be history, although Tom did get to fulfill part of his dream of being connected to law enforcement when he was appointed by the governor of Arkansas to be a director of the Arkansas State Police in 1998. For which he ably served for 3 years. In May 2002, Tom was tapped to head Wal-Mart's legal department. And I needn't remind everybody here how significant and important a position that is today. Wal-Mart's operations are worldwide. Wal-Mart's growth, not coincidentally or interestingly enough, parallel that of China itself. It is a company that in the last 40 years, or less than 40 years, has grown from a small, very small regional chain to the behemoth institution that it is today. And it too is still growing, assimilating new things, cultures, and just like China is dealing with its entry into the and emergence into the world marketplace. But let me now turn to the impact part. I first met Tom Mars at a NAPABA convention a few years ago where he flew down with I think, the largest collection of Asian American in-house lawyers I've ever seen. And that didn't just happen by accident. That's because Tom and Wal-Mart made a commitment to really do what they say they were going to do about a commitment to diversity. And I can tell you that corporate America, when we occasionally try to give it a report card for a commitment to such concepts as diversity, often is found, corporate America is often found wanting or falling short of those goals. Well, Wal-Mart has approached it differently and made its mark both forcefully, maybe somewhat quietly, but forcefully made its mark on the legal profession by pretty much saying, we are going to hire and make sure our workforce is diverse. In the legal department alone, I think my research revealed that you have at least 40% women now, 32% of the staff are persons of color. That's putting your deeds where it needs to be. And so that kind of impact doesn't just end at Wal-Mart, though. Because Wal-Mart is serviced by a gazillion law firms of varying sizes, degrees, and shapes. They also have some influence, just like they do on vendors and suppliers, to influence how we in the profession and test our commitment to diversity. And very recently, within the last year or so, I believe, Tom and Wal-Mart convened a conference in Bentonville where I'm told that there were a couple of hundred lawyers and, more importantly, over 50 managing partners of law firms from around the country who came to Wal-Mart and were given a message that was loud and clear, which is the kind of message that can have impact. And that impact was, be serious about your commitment to diversity or look elsewhere for a client. I can't think of another way in which you can get the message across to institutions such as law firms, conservative institutions, which sometimes need that little extra cajoling and needling. That's the kind of impact I think we need in this country. And so it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Tom Mars, who I think is not only a terrific lawyer and sitting on a hot seat being general counsel of the world's largest publicly traded company, but also an impact player.
Thanks for that generous introduction, Brian. And Jay, he's not on the payroll, but the next best thing would be to have somebody from one of your major law firms, Jones Day, that does such a good job for you. Thanks, Brian. It's very, very kind of you. Well, it's a privilege to be here at this conference representing Wal-Mart with some of my colleagues and to be part of these important conversations that are taking place here. And we want to thank the Committee of 100 for giving us this great opportunity. Gatherings like this are important to us at Wal-Mart because they give us a chance to discover new partnerships and to strengthen partnerships and make partnerships that have been in existence a long time much stronger. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to visit China along with some of my colleagues, and as I recall, we had gone over primarily to visit with some associates in China, some government officials, and to attend the grand opening of the, I think it was the 42nd Supercenter that we opened in Wuhan. And we had some downtime a day or so later in Beijing, and one of the government affairs people at Wal-Mart invited a few of us to spend part of that day going to the Forbidden City and the Great Wall, and of course we couldn't pass up the invitation, and so we did. What struck me in particular about the wall was that just being there, my own presence there, was on the one hand an improbable, unintended consequence, and on the other hand, the inevitable result of this strong partnership between Wal-Mart and China. As you all know, the wall was originally constructed to withstand assault and to keep invaders out. And centuries later, here I am, a lawyer, having flown all the way there from Bentonville, Arkansas, standing marveling at this wall. And as I reflect on that experience, and I have reflected on it a great deal over the past few years, It has occurred to me that I was allowed to be there and to see it in person primarily for two reasons. One is obvious, and that is that Wal-Mart and China have shared much over the past couple of decades. We've become partners in an enterprise that for us began with a single discount store in a quiet small town in rural America to an enterprise that, as Brian said, is now the world's largest retailer. And as we've grown over the years, we've become increasingly interconnected with many countries, notably China. We opened our first store in China 12 years ago. We employ nearly 40,000 associates in China, and today we have more than 200 stores. And our company directly sources or exports about $9 billion worth of products from China, in addition to those that are exported by our suppliers, which is to say that no small amount of our business depends on China.